Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to episode 197 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Joining me today is Charles Lee, founder and CEO of eTruism, a nonprofit online marketplace. We're going to talk to Charles a little bit about eTruism's business model and how it's a benefit to multiple people in the supply chain. So thanks for joining me today, Charles.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So I think a good place to start would be for you to tell us a little bit about your background, particularly in the retail industry. And then second part of that is, what led you to start and launch eTruism?
Sure. I've been working in the women's fashion industry for over 15 years now as an executive. And we were on the supply side of providing products, private label products to big box retailers and brick and mortar stores. In around 2015 or so, I was at the business program at UCLA. And over the years that I was managing a company, one of the things that we've always struggled with was the abundance of inventory and samples that we created that really had nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And the biggest problem with all of this was that oftentimes these products, excess inventory products, will either get, again, exported out, shipped to third world countries, or even worse, end up in landfills. So during one of the class sessions at business school, I shared this struggle with some of my classmates. And through that discussion, we decided that one of the ways that we can try to address this was by forming a nonprofit company to process and receive these inventories as a donation, and then take that and do something very good with it, either to repurpose it and give it to charities as they need it, or convert them to cash and then give the cash to charities as a charitable contribution.
So in my opening, I mentioned eTruism I described it as a nonprofit online marketplace. So there's kind of three parts to this. The retailer or the wholesaler that you're working with that's not donating, but you're partnering with to get inventory. Then kind of eTruism as the marketplace as a transactional channel. And then the third part, the charitable organizations that you work with. Can you talk about kind of the business model and explain that a little bit to our listeners?
Sure. We call it the triple win. And the reason we call that is because as a nonprofit, we're able to receive these donations from these product companies. And this is on the back end, it's business to business. We receive it in bulk. And we're able to give the companies that are donating a tax deduction for the donation that they made. The second win is that for the consumers who are buying from our online events or offline events, they're able to get a great product, and all the products that we sell are brand new, and they're able to get it at a great price. And they also know that when they buy something from us, 100% of their proceeds, everything that they paid for, will go directly to a charity of their choice. So what we allow the end consumer to do is at the point of checkout, actually pick a cause where they want their proceeds to go to. And really the third benefit, or the third win, is the charity partners that we work with. On our website, we have certain categories where we have charity partners, and all the money or the proceeds that come from these transactions, we redirect them to our charity partners. And the reason we do that is because one of the biggest struggles that charities have is often fundraising and having a source of funding for their charitable work. And our long-term vision is that we want to be a funding source, a regular, scalable funding source for these charities, so that they can allocate more of their resources in doing the charitable work and the social impact causes that they do.
So of those three, I'm going to take you back to the first one you mentioned, kind of that retailer or maybe the wholesaler brand that you've partnered with. You mentioned the benefit of the tax benefit that they're receiving. But I would also imagine a major, selling point to them is that, storing this inventory in their warehouses, there's a cost associated with that. So not only do they get the benefit of a tax break, but they're also clearing out their inventory freeing up space within their warehouse. Have you heard that from the partners that you've worked with?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the huge benefits, is that by donating the inventory to us, it's not only a inventory management strategy, but it's also a tax management strategy too. So it frees up space, and they're able to allocate not only their space resources, but also their human capital on focusing on the products that are more relevant in the business that they're doing. So that's a big benefit. The other part of it that's worth mentioning is that by partnering with us and donating to us, we're able to give them, especially for smaller businesses, medium-sized businesses, they can use this as their corporate social impact costs. So they can share that internally with their employees, they can share that with customers and also end consumers that they're doing business with, that they donate their products, and these products are going to various charities and doing good work.
Yeah, kind of that cause marketing effect that those brands can gain from that partnership.
Yeah, and we facilitate that process to make it very easy for them. And in addition to that, one of the things that kind of came out of this organically is that for small and medium-sized businesses who don't have charities that they partner up with volunteer work, we've partnered up our donors with our charity partners so that their employees, if they wanted to, can participate also in volunteering and providing hours to the various charities that we work with.
So that now I want to go to the other end. We're going to skip over kind of the marketplace, and we're going to go to the charitable organizations that you've partnered with. What is the process like in terms of deciding which charitable organizations eTruism is going to partner with? How much say does the customer have in that? Can you talk about that kind of final piece?
Sure. So what we did from the inception of the business and the nonprofit, what we did was we did research on what were some of the top of mind causes and charitable work that were top of mind for our consumers. And from that, we narrowed it down to 6 top causes that we wanted to have a charity partner for. The 6 causes are hunger, animal welfare, homelessness, education, disaster relief, like responding to hurricanes and different earthquakes and different disasters, and then medical research. So through that process, what we did was, once we identified the causes, we went out and looked for charity partners to make sure that we're partnering up with charities that are not only efficient, but very good at what they're doing. And we've partnered up with different both local and national charity organizations to fill each of those causes.
So then that takes us into the kind of the middle piece, the marketplace, and where commerce is actually occurring. So I'm interested in a couple different things there. One, what's your customer feedback been to this entire process, from the purchasing on eTruism to designating how they want their money to be donated? Can you talk a little bit about what feedback you've gotten from customers?
Sure. I would group that answer into 2 different. One is, to our surprise, there's almost the barrier that we were encountering was a kind of a disbelief in what we were doing, and that came because I think a lot of times there's a lot of skepticism about what charities are doing and how they're using their funds. And I think people, one, are confused by the fact that we're giving all of their proceeds to charities, and we're fully run by volunteers at the time. And also the second part of it is that there's so much cause marketing being done right now by for-profit companies that when we came on the market, and we were a nonprofit marketplace and giving everything that we earned back to the charities, there was some disbelief in the fact that, and maybe some confusion as well to what we were doing.
Yeah, skepticism, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And on the positive side, I think people who have transacted with us and has had a great experience and read about us and learned about what we're trying to do, the response has been amazing, and the feedback's been incredible and supportive, and people volunteering hours to try to help us or sharing our cause and what we're trying to do on social media. So, we have a very low marketing budget. So that word of mouth and people sharing their experience with us has been very important in helping us get going.
Yeah, I want to kind of talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to get back to that word of mouth and kind of trying to grow brand awareness for eTruism. But my next question, Charles, just talk a little bit about the merchandising strategy for eTruism. What can consumers expect to find on the marketplace? Do you is it an approach of we'll take anything? Do you have certain product categories that you're looking to kind of focus in on? Talk a little bit about merchandise that's available and where that may be headed for eTruism.
I'll answer that again in two different parts. One part is right now we're focusing in terms of selling products on our marketplace. We're focusing on women's fashion items. And the reason we did that was really the low-hanging fruit for us because of my background and experience working in women's fashion on the retail side. We had an existing network of donors who were willing to support us and provide donations so that we can get started. We also felt that, our knowledge of the fashion industry, there was a very strong pain point in what do we do with all these products that are brand new and packaged. So we wanted to address that first. The second part is that we received other donations in different categories other than fashion. And surprisingly for us, this is something that we've learned as we began the business, is our charity partners are directing donors to us. And when they're in the form of products that we can't products that aren't necessarily in line with what we're trying to sell on our website, what we do is we redirect them to other charities that might need them in the like form. For example, if we were to receive donation of ice boxes, we might redirect them to disaster relief, so that people in hot areas, if they were to have a disaster and needed access to cold water, they can utilize that. Other things like blankets or other needs that we have, we try to find a source for them and also redirect them to charities that have an immediate need. But right now, our goal is to focus in the fashion industry and women's fashion. And our long-term vision is to really, truly create a marketplace where people can come and use us as a first place they come to look for anything that they need and hopefully be able to find it at a great deal and use us as their first option in looking for something.
Yeah, and I think that your point about a great deal is one worth following up on. You mentioned that a little bit earlier, but can you talk about how you're able to offer really high quality merchandise at such a great price for the consumer?
Yeah, and it goes back to the nature of our business model. We're a nonprofit, so we're able to receive our product inventory at our cost is zero, which we again relay that to our end consumers. Right now, all of our products that we sell on our website, we sell it at a fixed price of $5. And we do that because, one, it's a great price point where you're going to be able to find something that you like at $5. And we also do that because it makes it easy to understand, and people come to our website knowing that everything's at a fixed price, and they're almost constantly coming back to bargain shop because we're loading. Every time we get a donation, we load it into the website, and they want to come back and see what else they can get for $5. And it's also the side benefit of getting a great deal is also knowing that whatever they pay for it, whether it be $5 for one item or 5 items for $25, all of that, they can feel very good about it, knowing that not only does that money go to a charity, but they're able to direct their purchase to a specific cause and charity.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned kind of a lean team, at eTruism. So not a lot of money for marketing, as you noted. What are you then trying to do to kind of grow the brand and, make sure, people have heard of this, you're doing some great work. The charities that you've partnered with are probably proponents of, building up your business, because the more people know about eTruism, the more money that can go to these great causes. Talk about, marketing and, I'm imagining social and some of the other things in terms of word of mouth are big for eTruism.
Yeah, it is, and it's a very tough balance because in one part, I wanted to make sure that when we started out, we built our credibility and people trust us. And one of the things about charitable work that people, most consumers have a concern about is how much of that money actually makes it to the charities. And we wanted to eliminate that conversation and make it very clear for the consumers to understand, as well as the donors. And so we made it simple as it can be. We literally translate all of the proceeds that come in from sales directly back to to charities that we work with. And we did that partly because to distinguish ourselves from the cause marketing or for-profit companies that are out there, to get the message across clearly and to also build credibility.
Yeah.
The challenging thing about that, I think, right now is that we have to scale our business and we have to grow our business. And at some point, we will have to have staff and operations that aren't just donated, but for a full-fledged business. And we'll encounter that when we get to that point, but we're going to try to last as long as we can without having those overhead expenses. And hopefully we'll gain the credibility of the consumers and we'll get our word out through people sharing about our cause and what we're trying to do, and sharing it amongst friends and family so that we can have a lot more transactions and donations coming in.
Yeah, I think that transparency is really key. As you noted, people are concerned about, when they donate to something, how much is actually going back to the charitable cause. So that's really been key to kind of getting customers to trust the brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my final question, Charles, is maybe you could talk a little bit about having started eTruism. Do you maybe have any advice for other entrepreneurs that are kind of looking to launch a brand? And this can extend to, a retail brand where you have experience, or maybe it's a nonprofit, or, perhaps another industry. Just kind of having gone through this experience, what insights, advice would you have for others?
Yeah, and I think this comes from our experience in starting eTruism and running eTruism. My biggest advice is to keep the focus very narrow, whether it be a product or a problem that you're trying to solve, or it might be your mission, but keeping it very narrow and very focused, I think translates very well in terms of your brand, your marketing, and the message that you're trying to get to your consumers. Oftentimes, what I see in the marketplace is people trying to do too many things and people trying to be too many, apply to too many different consumers. And because the retail marketplace and the world we live in now is so different than retail 10 years ago, everything's online, everything's done on mobile. I think it's very important to have a clear image of what you're about, what you're doing, what your product is, and sticking to that so that anybody who thinks about your product or your brand knows exactly what you're about and what you're doing. And that's the approach that we've taken, and it's worked out really well for us to be very clear about what we're trying to do and why. And even though there are some other things that we'd love to share with consumers, we almost are hesitant and don't do it because we don't want to confuse them about what our highest priority is and what's most important to us.
Yep. Great. I think we're just about out of time, so I want to take this opportunity to thank Charles Lee of eTruism for joining me today. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. But make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Also, please take the time to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.